Alright guys, I got this 2021 Raptor 700R in from customer. Customer stating that it was running hot, and after riding for a minute, it's running hot. So I looked up a bunch of stuff on these things, and I couldn't find really my problem like this. So I want to go through and show y'all the simple tips that I did to find out what I found out and why this thing is running hot. So the first step I went with, I come right here to the fuse box. So I wanted to make sure the fuse wasn't blown, because the customer stated that he never hears the fan kick on. So that's one of the first things I started checking, because I went through, I didn't see no coolant leaking nowhere. The coolant was good. So I didn't really see no leak, so I knew it was going to be something electronic to do with this. So I went to the fuse boxes. You can look right here if you see, but it says right here, fan 20A. So I pulled the 20 fuse right here, number 20 fuse, or 20 amp fuse, and it wasn't blown. So I knew that wasn't the case. So I come right here, I found the relay. Right here, this is the starter relay. I did some research. If you take just a regular old jumper wire, like this one I made, and you tag in the orange and the red, the yellow and red wire right here, if you ground it out, it's supposed to manually kick the fan on. So make sure you turn the key on. So I got the key turned on, and so my issue was the fan. I would ground it out like this, stick the red jumper wire right here, and the red and yellow, or the yellow and red, and ground it out, and you can hear my fan running over there, and you can hear the relay clicking. So my problem was, when I went in there, and when I jumped this, I could hear the relay clicking, but no fan was coming on. So I knew the relay was clicking, I knew the relay wasn't bad. So my next step was, I made sure I went down here with a test light, and made sure I had power going to the fan. So I'll show you how I did that. So what I did right here, I went there to the radiator. On these 700s, the fan is hooked to the back of this radiator, screws into the fan. Like, this is one of the bolts on the fan. So what I did was, I went up in here, and I found the plug right here. You can see, this is the fan plug. So what I did was, I went right here, I jabbed my test light right in here, into the wire, well, it ain't gonna hurt it. So now what I did was, when I had my test light there to make sure I got power, I went back up to the back, I grounded the relay out, and I wanted to see when I grounded that relay out, was it kicking power to my fan. So I'm gonna do that right now. So with me grounding this wire out, right here, my test light should come on so I have power to the fan. And you can hear the fan kicking on, like I said, I've already replaced it. I put a new fan in it. But before I put the new fan in it, this is how I went through. So I knew I was getting power to the plug, to that fan, but the fan wasn't kicking on. So I went ahead and pulled the fan out. So this right here, let me zoom out. This right here is the stock fan. We did go with an aftermarket fan. It was 75 bucks, but this was the fan. So the first thing I did was I pulled the fan out, and I had jumper wires in here, and I was trying to plug like some jumper wires and hook it just straight to the 12-volt battery after I hooked it out, because theoretically, when you hot wire this to a battery, this fan should come on and stay on. So the problem I was running into was, when I hooked the wires up here, the fan wasn't doing nothing. So I wanted to double check. I knew the fan was bad, so I went ahead, cut the wires. You see I put them back together, but I cut the wires. So I took the black as a negative, the blue and the white as the positive, and I plugged it into a 12-volt battery, just touching the wires on the battery, and the fan wouldn't kick on. So I said, I went back, put the end piece back on, wired it back together, and I hooked it back to the bike. So what I learned was, when I grounded that fan out, and matter of fact too, I forgot to mention, when I pulled this fan out, it's loose now, but it was like locked up. It would spin one good time, and then it would get hard. It had some dirt up in there. So I think they burnt the motor up because it had dirt, and it wasn't, every time it cut on, it ended up basically burning out. So I think something up in here internally was messed up. I hooked the plug back up, and I plugged it to the bike, and I grounded the relay out. The fan would kick on, but if I took my finger and hit it like that, then the power would stay going to it, and it would keep it spinning. But every time I wanted to run this fan, I had to jump it for it to stay on. So then I ruled out we got a bad fan. So like I said, the fan on these is right here behind the radiator. I put the new fan in it, plugged it up, took it down the road. That's why I haven't put it back together yet. Fan's kicking on and out. No more running hot issues. It's good to go. I just want to show you them simple tips of what I did to diagnose the fan. I feel like that's one of them. If that fan's not kicking on and your bike's running hot, most of the time that's the problem. I knew I had some electronic. I knew there was no stains in the motor. I knew the head gasket wasn't blown. There was no coolant leaking nowhere. All my coolant stuff was full. It was just at idle, with it being 100 degrees out here. At idle, the fan wasn't kicking on, causing the bike to run hot. Thanks, guys. come back for more.